You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Podcast Network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com. You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast. This is episode number 120 of East Central Indiana's favorite podcast. I'm Jeremiah Morrell. Today I'm joined by co-host Dakota Davis and producer Chris Guffey.
Today's episode features, well, the two of us, I guess the three of us, if Chris ever wants to chime in, but right now he's standing outside of the studio, so who knows what's going to happen. We are going to be talking about how we have the plans to save every county in America with all of their top priorities. You will want to hear this episode, and you will want to pass it along to all of your elected officials on the county level of your government. Once we get to the end of the show, we're going to talk about the people who want to help fix our city, the city of Newcastle, Indiana. So make sure you stick around to the end if you are a local listener.
This show is about our lives in rural Indiana. We're here to push your boundaries and make you think as individuals. Sometimes we will provoke you. Other times we'll make you laugh. Hopefully, you will always learn something new.
Hopefully. We're going to learn a whole lot of new things this episode, Jeremiah.
I am. You've done the legwork today. I'm going to learn, and we're going to talk about it as we go. With
this topic, you know, the title says how to save every county in America. I ran across an article from the National Association of Counties, and it was about the 2016 survey that they did of thousands of counties across the United States, and they asked them all, like, what are the biggest issues facing your county? What are the biggest setbacks in economic development, getting people to move to your county, and all of those sorts of things. I had some opinions on them. I had some opinions on the answers that the county officials gave that they said that they had already been doing. And I thought, you know what? We say local stories, national impact. This is the perfect topic.
This is in the wheelhouse.
Yeah. Especially for a guest or an episode we don't have a guest.
And this was all your brilliant plan based upon me driving from Newcastle, Indiana, Henry County, to Toledo, Ohio, and I noticed that there was a Henry County.
Yeah,
I was driving through and saw the Henry County Fairgrounds on US 24 between Fort Wayne, on Fort to Port between Fort Wayne and Toledo. And this is the kernel.
I thought we were special.
You thought you were the only one. And then I said, actually, there's a Newcastle, Kentucky in Henry County, Kentucky, and we're literally just a northern copycat.
Yeah.
It's all over the place. Newcastle of the world is a thing. My mom's from Newcastle, Wyoming, Weston County, Wyoming, but Newcastle,
but
all one
word.
Yes.
That makes us better, I think, because, you know, we know how to correctly, we know the correct grammar and everything down in this Newcastle. We know that it's Newcastle, not Newcastle.
We have some thank yous. We've got to thank the Patreon folks that contribute to put the show on the air for you. $50 and more a month. Those donors are Christopher Bilbrey, Christy Avery, John Phillips, and Craig DaCosta. You guys got to hear a few things in that this evening. Stories from Niagara Falls. You got a little bit from the weekend of the three of the Boss Hog personalities.
I didn't get invited.
You got invited. We just knew you wouldn't come.
I didn't get invited.
Actually, I don't think you did get invited at all. You were plumbing. We went up to the Chano Lakes State Park and checked out some breweries and wineries. You can hear about that. And then there's possibility of a sponsorship opportunity for our boy Guffey. So jump on patreon.com/Boss Hog of Liberty and learn all about it.
In case you don't know, the Patreon side is a side where you pay us monthly, and we give you more of this show in return.
You get more content.
That's right. You
more
get
access. You get the show notes early.
Occasionally, we have live shows where we have the Patreon members come in and sit in on those shows. I think we do a pretty good job of taking care of our Patreon members. I haven't heard any complaints yet.
There have been posters. There's discounts on merchandise. There's all kinds of stuff. Special events, book signings, free books we've had in the past.
Postcards, stickers.
Postcards.
The works.
It's a very rewarding group.
Plus, it is also rewarding for you because every time that you drive past this beautiful studio in downtown Newcastle, you know that you are helping pay for it.
You're promoting local independent media. Also want to thank continuing sponsor, Farmer Brad LLC. If you go to farmerbrad.com/Boss Hog of Liberty, there is a chicken waterer available.
It's just /Boss Hog.
/Boss Hog. Yeah. It's not of Liberty. Man, it's so different.
Of Liberty would just be too much typing.
It's way too much. So farmerbrad.com/Boss Hog.
And then enter promo code Boss Hog at checkout, and you will receive $3 off of your purchase of an automatic chicken waterer.
And a portion of that goes into the Boss Hog Building Fund over here.
That's right. We split the money with you.
Fantastic. So
right. Now let's talk about how to save every single county in America from everything that ails them, from their infrastructure problems, their financial needs, their jailing crisis, anything. I think we have all the answers.
Counties are constantly trying to find ways to solve problems that the states above them create.
Yes.
There's word that came out just this week that Hancock County, our neighbors to the west, passed the LOIT that we've been discussing for the last year or two to pay for a new jail. They have over a $40 million jail project, and they passed a 0.2% LOIT that's going to be in place for the next 22 years at a minimum to pay for that project. It's happening.
We discussed that topic extensively during the 2018 election cycle for the local candidates, and it was such a large topic, but I don't think that a lot of people who vote and a lot of people who consider themselves, even people who consider themselves informed, didn't know that this was a new option that had been given to the counties to take more of your money from your paycheck. And unfortunately, there were people who were running for office that were saying that this tax was a good thing, and were also calling themselves fiscal conservatives, but still got elected to office. So I mean, it's no surprise that counties are already taking part of this, because they have an issue that was caused by the state, and the state, like you said during the last election, gave them a loaded gun and just waited for them to pull the trigger. And they're going to do it. It's literally not surprising at all, given the history of every single government in the entire world.
So the report that you're working from, that you've given us as a jumping off point today, is from the National Association of Counties. Priorities in America's Counties 2016, a survey of American counties. That's the
right.
base
you see
document
all those
here.
Really cool graphics on the cover.
They spent big money on paving and on children and on American flags and troops and soldiers and the elderly. All of the scepters have been touched. All the receptors, all of the human emotion.
It is a large document. If the Patreon members have access to the show notes that has links to any of the stories that we talk about during the show, so they can click on that. But it is the National Association of Counties, NACO.org, and there are 3,069 county governments in the United States that make up this National Association of Counties, and there are different county officials that are selected or asked to become a part of the NACO, and from different states and regions across the United States, and those are the folks that make up the board of the National Association of Counties.
So the number one thing that these counties are saying that they need is infrastructure money. They need to have that more than police, more than fire. That they're worried about roads and streets and those sorts of things. Which, by the way, we've seen an increase. The taxes were raised in Indiana about 2 years ago, and you're now seeing more roads getting paved in the counties and in the local municipalities here. Main Street in Newcastle is torn up again. Another section of it has been milled, and it's like a bombed out zone right now. Driving down Main Street.
So what is the big roadblock for why counties aren't able to take care of their roads sufficiently? What do you think that is?
I think they've got more road than they can actually manage to pay for.
But how did we get to that point where at one point in time they were being taken care of because they all got paved, right?
Yeah, they got paved, but they may have not been built appropriately. And water is the number one issue that you always have in road construction. Dealing with, just like at the house, water is the number one thing. And if you didn't build the road right to start with 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago, water is always going to be a problem. And in northern climates like we have here, if you don't have proper crowns on roads, you don't shed water, and you have roads that end up holding water, and then water seeps through. When you go through a freeze-thaw cycle, roads blow out.
Yep.
If you don't have enough space for in pipes, if you don't have big enough culverts or bridges, they erode, and you have problems. That's the biggest problem you have, is that you can get something built, but maybe you didn't build it appropriately or correctly, and then it won't last.
So what?
Or you can have front end money on something, get anything built, but if you can't maintain it, then you're in deep trouble.
What can we with counties trying to improve their infrastructure? Obviously, your county is taking care of your county roads that are obviously more than likely going to be the least traveled roads that are in your area. I mean, I live on a county road, and it's in poor shape right in front of my house. And everybody, probably, at least in Indiana, and I know northern Kentucky, knows that the county roads aren't in great shape. There's potholes everywhere. So what can a county commissioner do to go, we're going to prioritize the maintenance of the roads, which 72% of them said that that's what they would prioritize.
The number one thing, and you can see what they've done in our community here, is they've finally had money come back in. The number one thing they do is they try to do collector and arterial, so the artery roads that are actually carrying the most traffic are the ones that get addressed first. And then, so your local street may not get paved, or your local road may not get paved, but the main street or the east-west thoroughfare, that's not a signed state road necessarily, but it's the big road that takes you to town or takes you to the main state road. Those are the ones that they have to address and are dealing with. You may have a mile or two of very poor quality inferior roads, but once you get onto one of the good roads, then you're good to go. And that's what they can do. If the vast majority of your lane miles are on good roads because you're on the county roads that have actually been improved, then you're in decent shape. Think about it for you. If where you live, the main road that goes into the town you live in from the state road, that one's generally going to be in pretty good shape. So then you live off of that road,
right?
And that's the road that you would say, okay, that's probably going to be in a little bit rougher shape. Same thing for me. I live one street off of Main Street in Newcastle, Indiana, or Main Street Road because it's in the county. But that's the deal. Is you may have a short section that's not perfect, and it's a big waste of money to go in and say, okay, I'm going to repave every road, and we're going to start with the one that was paved the last. We're just going to throw money at it, and we're going to start at A Avenue. We're going to B, C, D, E, F, G all the way through. That would be an incorrect way. Or say, okay, we're going to start at County Road 1000, and we're just going to start paving south till we run out of money and we get more money. We're going to start over. You have to prioritize them.
So that's what you're saying. Is not, you're saying prioritize the actual road that you fix.
Yeah. And then also having some political connections matters as well. Now, our street here outside of the studio is going to get paved. And I can only assume that that's because of the political power and clout of the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast. We hosted the state senate debate last year. We're near a state road, and now the city is choosing to repave our road.
That makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
I saw that our road was all torn up, and I thought, why is that? But now I understand.
Yeah, it's
because we're here.
We're the front door of the eyes of the media in the county and the city.
Well, they just know that if they didn't do something about it, we were going to bitch about it relentlessly.
Fix my road. So that's the biggest thing that you're that the county's identified is that infrastructure is the problem.
That was of the biggest survey question. That was the one that they all agreed on the mostest at 72%. 1/3 of county officials said that cuts in the budget were the greatest detriment to their county. Having to cut areas of the budget where they'd previously been taking care of different things for county residents, like, for instance, like here in Henry County, the health department and places like those. And they said 1/3 of the counties, whenever they were asked what has been the greatest detriment to you, said having to cut these sections of the budget.
So there's an interesting conversation that Rob Kendall has been putting out there, and it was he was on Leaders and Legends this last week with Robert Vane. He and Chris Spangle, our syndicator on the We Are Libertarians Network, they did that podcast. Very, very good podcast. You should definitely check out Leaders and Legends if you're not doing it already. But Rob was talking about how we just need to completely look at the way we tax in Indiana entirely. We have a patchwork that's just poorly done. You've got, if you try to list and recognize the number of local taxes that are in place, the menu of low taxes that are available, the property taxes, the different entities that add to your property taxes, it's extremely complicated. If you look at what a TIF district is and abatement, and the way you fund county governments and local governments is incredibly complex. And even the people that are professionals, that where it's their job, they can get confused. So it's easy for a county to say, well, it's because my budget's cut. Well, your budget's cut because processes changed or rules changed, and all of a sudden now your specific department is getting less money because the way the revenue is being doled out is different. It's not because there's less money in government. Government's still got a lot of money. But all of a sudden the bucket fills up, or there's an arbitrary cap that's on a health department or a parks department, and you can't do what you normally did.
Yeah. So with that, the 1/3 of officials, so it was actually a little over a third. It was like 35%. Only 13% said that they actually cut an operation or a service that was provided by the county, like completely out of the budget.
That it was eliminated.
Yeah.
Well,
13% of them eliminated.
Even if you
that.
eliminate a service, it's probably going to get picked up somewhere else.
Right.
So if you said, okay, we as a county are going to eliminate 911. Right. So that's not on the table. But say Henry County decided we're going to get rid of 911.
In your next county council race, someone would pick that out as a soundbite.
Yeah.
We're going to eliminate 911.
The next thing that would happen would be a large municipality in your area would pick it up and provide that for the entire community.
Right.
So, say the city of Newcastle would then do 911 for the entire community. So it's not necessarily going to be gone, or wouldn't be gone in that case. And what these counties have probably done, they're depending upon another agency to pick up the slack.
But I did think that it was interesting how literally every county government that's operating in the United States says we need more money.
Well, everybody's going to want more money.
Right.
You're never going to have, it's your nature. Your nature is going to be, if you have employees, your employers are going to want to be paid more. You're going to want to have more employees. You're going to want to work less overtime.
Right.
You're going to want to be able to do more things or deliver more services or more products.
Especially whenever we're talking about the government, the people who are elected officials to serve in the government, more than likely they're there. I'm going to say like 99% of the time they ran for office, and they are in office because they care and they want to help. And whenever they are there, it seems like the only way that we can help these people is by doing things for them. And to do things for folks, you got to have the money to be able to do those things. So I feel like there's this constant pool with the people that are in local government that are like, I'm here to help. I want to help you do things. Someone asks for something and they see it as a need, and then they go, we don't have the money for it. And I feel, and as if you're a person that likes to help people, not being able to do something because it's out of your control really sucks. And that's kind of the situation that they get in. So,
yeah, but it's not necessarily your authority. You don't necessarily have the authority to solve the problem that they're worried about.
No, I totally agree with that. I'm just saying that I feel like that's kind of the natural circle of folks that get involved.
So in your data mining of this document from the National Association of Counties, I'm really interested in this collaboration that you show that 91% of counties in the year 2016 had collaborated with either another government body or a non-for-profit, which we've seen happen many times in Henry County here with the Hope Initiative. We've had Dr. Kathy Hamilton on the program before.
I do want to say, as a disclaimer to this statistic of 91% of counties collaborating, that could also mean the county is collaborating within the largest city within the county's boundaries.
Right. So
it'd be like Henry County collaborating with the city of Newcastle.
You have interlocal agreements.
Right.
Which is what they have here for 911.
Right. So I wanted to clarify that because at first I was kind of unsure. I was like, what does that mean? Does that mean they're collaborating with the state? Because, of course, the county is going to collaborate with the state for general road maintenance for like state roads going through the county. But
I don't know. I mean, the states take care of the state roads.
They take care of it, but how loose is your definition of collaborating? There's contact between.
They'll ask for local input,
right?
But the dollars that pay for State Road 3 is going to be rehabbed within the next 2 to 3 years here in Henry County. That's the city of Newcastle, the county of Henry County does not control that.
Right.
INDOT, the owner, decides what they're going to do, when they're going to do it, and how they're going to pay for it.
Yep. Yeah, I know. I agree.
That's why when I turn onto Riley Road, there's a giant crater where the new city road meets up with the county road, with the state road, and it's this abyss there that's probably going to be like that for the next 2 to 3 years because nobody knows who owns that portion. But the transition between the state road and the city road are questionable.
But like you, my first thought that popped into my mind whenever I read that statistic was the Hope Initiative and the city of Newcastle, especially like talking about the Castle Theater. Different things that the Hope Initiative has.
Now, Hope's not involved with the castle.
No, that's Main Street.
That's Newcastle Main Street.
Newcastle Main Street. Hope Initiative is involved with Memorial Park and some other.
Sorry, I was thinking about the city with Newcastle Main Street.
Yep.
Yeah. So I guess I was wrong. The first thing that popped into my mind was
Newcastle
a lie. Main Street.
It was blasphemous.
But but Hope does a lot with the community. And they obviously they work with the county government, and that's what your issue was about, was the county, not the city elections.
This is not the National Association of Cities.
That's true.
Now, many of the issues here that the NAOC, National Association of Counties, has outlined are issues that we see here. Counties that have affordable housing was the biggest economic threat to development in their county.
Yep.
I can say as a person who has firsthand knowledge of the family trying to find housing in the community that good housing is very hard to find right now. Selling fast, there's very little.
They said that 42% of them said that was the biggest threat to economic development happening within their county. So, I mean, almost half of counties said that just having affordable housing, and they had talked about some of the things that counties were trying to do to combat this, and one of them was collaborating with the Housing and Urban Development. One of them was imposing rent control, which we've seen in a lot of really large cities throughout the United States, like
Los Angeles, Chicago, New York. And these are those are different types of issues. We do have Section 8 housing in our area, but the biggest issue here is that it's the lack of new housing or quality housing stock.
That's what I think.
More than
I
the
agree.
lack of, if you go to San Francisco, you can't afford to live there, right? The rent is ridiculous. If you go to Los Angeles or some of the big cities that are growing very quickly, you're into the multiple $1,000s a month in rent. Which is off the charts compared to the income that folks make. Obviously, in the Midwest, we have a different wage scale than you do in other parts of the country, but there are multiple things that would fit into that bucket. The reasons why that's a problem in Los Angeles County are different than the reasons that there are problems in Henry County, Indiana.
No, I agree. I really do think that if we could get some more development happening here, like residential development, I think it would really help make the county look
And-
really good,
and flexibility
especially to
You-
employers.
You really don't have a lot of flexibility, Guffey, in the way you choose to live. You've been looking at this yourself as you've looked at homes. There's certain minimums in home size, quality, methods, the way you have to live to be legal,
which is absolutely asinine to me.
Is very interesting.
If I want to live in 140 square feet, I should be able to live in 140 square feet. Nobody should be able to tell me I have to buy a 300 square feet house.
Is that the minimum?
I don't know if that's the city minimum, but typically it's around 300-ish.
30 by 10.
Yeah, that's absolutely asinine that somebody can tell me that I have to live in that. What if that's too big for me? Honestly, I mean, who has the right to tell me what size house
You don't want to heat more than you want to heat. You don't want to cool more than you want to cool.
Exactly. I don't want to clean more than
What if things work out in your Bumble, though?
Well, then at that point, then we'd have to rediscuss the living situation.
You don't own a house forever. You can sell it.
Exactly. And now the small house market of 140 square feet, 150 square feet is going to be limited. I think it's like 1% of the population is actually interested in buying small houses. So obviously you have to find.
I'm surprised it's that much.
Well, so you have, and a lot of people talk about small house living, but they don't move into it. But my place is not that big.
Most people that do like tiny house living, they've built their house on a trailer because of these zoning and building codes that dictate how large a house has to be or the minimum square footage of a house. And they do that so that technically it's not a permanent structure.
Yep.
It's not a house.
And you can just haul it out of there.
Yeah.
So it's been interesting as we've gone through this process of looking at homes in the community to purchase, that a lot of the subdeveloped areas in the county have covenants or rules. They're not homeowners associations, but if you're in a subdivision here in this area, you've already agreed, if you're buying into it, that there are certain rules and certain things that have to happen. So we're looking at what is this called? It doesn't matter what the area is or what it is. It's a development inside of Henry County. The covenant, this goes back to the 1950s, says that you can't have an outside toilet of any kind. Those are the rules. They've agreed. You can't have an outhouse.
That's crazy.
It doesn't even feel like America anymore.
No septic tank, no absorption field.
Nothing outside of your lot or whatever. You have to have. It all has to be constrained in your lot or whatever. No fence can obstruct your neighbor's view, so you can't build a good fence, a tall fence. That's not allowed in that particular neighborhood. But it also had something very interesting dealing with sizes. So this is the reason I was looking for this document.
Well, while you're looking for that, Dakota, to your what if it works out relationship wise, exactly what you're mentioning, building it on a trailer that has wheels, and then at that point, what I could do is or anyone that's interested in small house living could actually pull that to a campground and just leave it at the campground, and then that could be your camper or trailer or RV. You can find a place like that, or if you wanted to, you could still pull it with you to a campground, and so on and so forth. And then,
why don't you just park it along the street?
Put a license plate on it and see how quickly you violate rules.
Well, it's going to have a license plate if you're going to pull it with the trailer.
Yeah.
So
you just get a registration.
Yeah, but if you put it on the street, then you have to deal with your waste, and you have concerns about electricity to it.
Yes, but what I'm saying is that is for after.
Put some windmills on the top and some solar panels. Have a little DC converter, and then have a septic holding tank in the bottom of it, just like a regular camper does, or a composting toilet, and you're good to go, man. You can just live.
I will say though, after staying in the Potters, the wonderful Kevin and Libby's.
Theirs is too big for the road. With the slide outs, you can never put that in the street.
I couldn't put it in the street, but man, could I live in that thing.
It's about 16 feet wide with fully extended.
Yeah, I could buy.
It's too big for you. It's 35 feet long and 16 feet wide.
But the living space is not. It is very small. Obviously.
You should look into like park model homes, like and like what we have done in Brookville. Audrey and I have been looking at them, and new from the manufacturer, you can get them for like $42,000. And that's they deliver it to the plot of land and hook it up and level it.
Well,
it's already built.
Yeah, I've looked at that. There's a company down in North Carolina that it has 3 options.
Is it Oakwood Homes?
There's one in Plainfield.
Well, this one's in North Carolina. There's 3 options.
Doesn't support local business. Shameful.
Shame. You can buy it with all the materials to build the house for like $6,600. You could have it where they assemble the outside and they run the electric and stuff like that, but nothing else for $20,000. Or you can buy it where it's fully furnished on the trailer. It's got the bed, it's got the refrigerator and everything fully furnished for $41.5 or something like that.
Yeah,
and they'll deliver.
Yeah,
and that includes the cost of delivery.
So this going back to this subdivision we were discussing, minimums, if you have a ranch style home, 1,200 square foot minimum.
That's ridiculous.
In that subdivision. And then if you were having a multiple story, you have to have at least 1,000 square feet on the bottom floor.
That is asinine to me.
So you have to have at least that. And then they also say that no basements can be dug for the permanent purpose or living quarters or temporary or permanent. That goes back to the 1950s, the rules that they put into place there.
So my current residence, I would say, is probably 10 by 20 for one room, and I have 2 of those. And that's too big for me. I don't like it. And that's the thing.
You have a 400 square foot house and it's too big for
I don't
you?
like it.
It's just too much.
I don't like it. Like the kitchen in the bathroom, the kitchen's its own thing, and then the bathroom's right off the edge of the kitchen, and then the bedroom and the bedroom and the living room.
We're gonna have to bring the cameras to really investigate. You're doing a terrible job of describing.
But the real problem is
you're not.
is that the boot of Aaron Dickin is on your throat, telling you can't live somewhere smaller.
Yep, Aaron Dickin, friend of the podcast.
Your one friend.
My one friend is strangling me with my house size.
With house size, I'm sure with a house that small, you got plenty of room in the backyard for chickens.
I could put a fence up. I could put a 6 foot privacy fence up around my property.
We also have rules that prohibit in this housing conversation. We have rules that prohibit multi-family dwellings. So in my community, I couldn't have an in-law suite in a garage if I wanted to. It is prohibited in the covenants that I have. And it is in a lot of the county where you can't say, hey, I'm going to add an extra house, an extra living quarters so that you can have these modern families of, oh, yeah, mom, or I'm going to have an extra person to help pay the rent and I'm going to put in a basement apartment. That's frowned upon in a lot of these areas.
It's crazy to tell you.
Who enforces that?
Well, it's crazy that the government can tell you what you have to do with your house and what you can do with your house.
Well, and okay. So if it may not be enforced well, but there's always the threat of it, or it's difficult to sell. You can't necessarily sell it or advertise it where you can.
You get in a fight with the Joneses across the street.
Revenue. Yeah, all of a sudden they weaponize their house against you, right? My neighborhood. Another interesting little
I know
surprise.
His mother-in-law lives in that garage.
I know that woman's there. No mobile homes may be placed in any lot in the addition, whether occupied or unoccupied.
Sorry, Guffey, you're out.
You can't move into my hood. There's something else that was. Oh yeah, you can have a 2-car garage all day long, but if you want to have a 3-car garage, you have to have every single neighbor sign off on it saying it's okay.
Every neighbor and
every single person has to say it's okay. If one person objects, you can't have your 3-car garage.
What?
That's just too many cars.
You should have 3 cars.
There's also a rule against having too much lumber or things laying on the ground.
But okay, so
and you can't have if you start a house, you have to finish it within 6 months.
Okay,
or else I don't know. Maybe they'll make the county come in and burn it down. I don't know.
Curious question to the 3-car garage thing. So, Jeremiah, you're married.
I am. Successfully. For more than 365 days.
Yes.
I've made a lap around the sun.
As of this week.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, you have your car. You have the Tahoe. You have the terrain for work. And Sarah has her vehicle.
Yes.
Now, what happens when you add a little Morrell to the family situation here? And then you got to get a 4th car. And now,
in 16 years.
But still,
I don't think they start driving out of the womb.
You don't know. But
there you go, Jared Jr.
Hold on. If it's a Tesla, they can.
Huh?
Teslas are self-driving.
Self-driving. Smart driving.
Yeah.
But anyway, still to the point, if you have a family, what if you have twins?
Well, I don't want to brag, but I can fit 8 cars in my driveway. They don't all have to be under the cover of a roof.
But what if you want your kids to have, where they can go out in the garage?
Yeah, but then all of a sudden people can't get their car out of the driveway.
Exactly.
We suffer through that now. We have to be somewhat strategic to make sure that we don't.
I know. I always try to make sure I park in the back
so that you can get out.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I do the same.
I've learned from Dakota.
Yeah, I've taught you well.
I park in the back. Everybody's like,
always drive separate.
Exactly, my man. That's why the Libertarians took 4 cars to Fort Wayne.
Massive carbon footprint. Massive carbon footprint. All right, back to solving every county that exists.
All right, where did we leave off at?
42% of counties
affordable housing
say that housing's the problem. We talked about the roads.
We need the childhood development.
So how could a county government influence affordable housing in their county? What could a county government do to help that situation?
I think you can loosen zoning regulations and say we do what you want to do. You own your ground, build what you want.
Yeah, redo the zoning.
Yeah, maybe
that's the biggest thing you could do.
Maybe a potential developer would come in at that time and try to develop a subdivision or something else on the piece of property that they hold.
You got to put out a welcome sign that says, "Please be creative. Invent the new way to live here."
I know we're talking about the county, but City Councilman Jerry Walden has actually mentioned. I've heard him mention it once or twice about how we need to relook at our zoning ordinances.
Man, that's your opponent. Don't say anything nice.
But we both want what's best for Newcastle.
This is a competition.
It's not a competition.
Voters get to decide.
We're both interviewing for the same job, and that's how it is.
Let's see. Where did we leave off? 70% of county governments said that early childhood development is the best way to break the cycle of poverty, with many of them saying that they are hoping to include preschool and their public school system in the county. They're going to try to work with the public school corporations in their county to develop some kind of preschool there.
So that's an issue that as I transition cycles in life and you start to think about at some point there'll be little Morrells running around. Early childhood matters to you, right? It's really not been a thing before. Not as concerned about the schools providing it or the government providing it, but I think to make a county not affordable, to make a county attractive for people that are coming to your community that want to live there, childcare matters and access to quality childcare matters. You don't necessarily just want to have you don't want to have to count on mom and dad, grandma and grandpa to look after the kids or, say, okay, yeah, your spouse is going to stay home with your children. You need to have something available for daycare, whether that is you making a decision you're going to go to a daycare or a pre-K or whatever the program is. You do need to have a robust set of options in your community.
There was a study that just came out, and I just read about this. The first article I could find is a Reno Gazette Journal, which is a part of the USA Today network. The headline is "Numbers Show No Benefit from Pre-K Education."
So yeah,
it's very contentious. It's apparently been something that's been well researched and known within the field of psychology, and university professors.
A lot of educators have been asking for this, and politicians have pushed for it so that governments provide it. But you're correct. Many researchers have said yes, it does make a difference early on, but then once you stack them up 3, 4, 5, 6 years down the line, there's other factors that have adjusted that, and you really can't show that the early childhood education made that much of a difference.
This is quoting the research psychologist David Elkind, the author of Hurried Child, and he said that by grade 3, children who received pre-K academic instruction are achieving no better than the kids that didn't go.
So within the 4 to 5 years,
yeah,
you're not noticing the difference any longer. Yeah, so I mean, as I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, I agree on almost all of this except this early childhood, and I think childcare matters a lot in making a community
for sure
attractive, but I don't think that I feel like
I feel like the child care and the child development was almost put in the wrong category for issues in the county. I think that childcare almost belongs into an economic development slot, because I really think that if you have great schools, you have great childcare within the county that you live in, then that's going to really, really attract more young families to try to move to your county.
And the housing issue as well.
Yeah, for sure. But I don't think that it's the way that, I don't think that collaborating with a school corporation for preschool is the way to defeat poverty. It seems silly to me. The whole premise of that seemed really silly to me. And there were a lot of other statistics in there, but I thought that one seemed the most off the wall.
Yeah, and there are people that come from a school of thought that think that, you know, certain basic human needs are the responsibility of the community to provide, whether that's, you know, a school isn't just for education. A school is to make sure that you're fed 2 to 3 times a day. A school is to provide your child care. A school is a safe place to be. A school is for socialization, and it's also for education. All of those different factors are in there. And that's a fundamental conversation to have of, okay, who's responsible? Or is it, or is it you as the family, or is it the community as a whole?
Yeah.
That's a decision that society struggled with for generations.
Well, I think it's still a struggle because we're at this place right now where I think the vast majority of people know that it's the parents' responsibility to raise their children. However, we also have a lot of shithead parents out there in the world that don't take that responsibility upon their shoulders. So they don't care if the school teachers are the only positive influence on their child's life, or the only person that provides any kind of order in their life and direction. Just don't care. So it's like, yeah, you do definitely need the school. You need good schools and these good institutions to help with the development of children that may end up living in your community as they become adults. But we also need to have the broader conversation of why are the adults neglecting that responsibility on a fundamental level, a certain number of them. It's a difficult thing to think about.
The trick of it is okay, we're talking about this from the side of the county. Is that the county's job? Is that a school corporation's job? We think that it starts with the parents, but what's the fail-safe? And is the fail-safe one of these 2 organizations or these 2 government entities? Yes, I think everybody agrees that, you need to have opportunities or programs in place, whether that's a church, a private organization that somebody has started that's providing this, a 501c3 that people say is a worthy thing and they want to fund it, and you can pay into it, and then they have scholarships for families that absolutely need it. There's lots of opportunities to do that. It doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be done by the public school system. We got a message that said our podcast broke. I don't know that it did.
I'm so confused by this.
It may or may not be broken. We're waving at the world. If you can see us in the live stream, great. And if not, that's okay too. We are a podcast. The video doesn't always work perfectly.
I'm gonna move on because the audio is still recording. But Eddie says that is in the live stream right now and said a couple of things about community. Said that we need a lot more community input and involvement as well. There's a really good book. I'm trying to think of the author, but the title of it is Them, Why We Hate Each Other and How to Heal. And I've talked about it on the show before. And it talks about the loss of the community institutions within towns and counties and things like that, like the Freemasons, the Elks Club, your local Rotary Club. All of those things were the social media at one point in time, where you went and you met up with your friends in the middle of the week and you had dinner, you had a couple of drinks, and that's where you caught up with your buddies. It wasn't through looking at a screen and only looking at the perfect portions of their life and judging your life on this fake facade that you see on Facebook. And then he also mentioned latchkey. I was a latchkey kid, and I loved it. So, because my mom, she worked at this school, but the school workers got out of work after the kids got out of school. So there was...
So you had to stay.
Yeah, so I had to stay at Latchkey with my sister. And it was a really interesting thing because I think that... I try to think of what would my parents have done if that wasn't the case. I probably would have gone and just sat down there with my mom while she was working. However, there were a lot of kids that they don't have that opportunity. Mom and dad have to pay for a nanny, or you just have to go home. You go
home and sit.
Hey, little 8-year-old Johnny, you've got to go home by yourself until I come home from work at 5:30 in the afternoon. So, sorry. That's a real reality for a lot of people, and especially as more and more families, both parents are working outside the household. It's a real reality. And he said that Latchkey was a major loss for Newcastle community schools, and I
have
agree
to
with
profess
him.
ignorance. I don't know if what schools offer Latchkey and which don't.
I don't know
when I was in elementary school 20 plus years ago. It was around, but I don't know. I don't know anymore.
But yeah, there's a lot of issues that surround the whole school issue. So maybe the title is wrong. We're not going to fix every single one of them, but I think we got a pretty good start if anybody wants to listen.
Education's obviously a very, very big deal. We are starting to see information and on the 2020 governor's race coming up. Saw another announcement today. Dr. Woody Burton announced that he's running for Indiana governor as a Democrat.
I did not see that. Of course, I've been in school this week. This has been a little pat on myself on the back. I've made it through my 4th level / year of my training, which is also final.
I said Woody
very
Burton.
end.
Woody Burton is Dan Burton's brother, the state rep. Woody Myers, Dr. Woody Myers, who was a Wishard doctor, and he was also the Indiana health commissioner under Governors By, and I want to say another, but I can't say for certain. And then Eddie Melton is also running across the state. He's been going on the education side. He's been going with Dr. Jennifer McCormick. Eddie Melton's a senator from Northern Indiana, Democrat, but he's been been out there with the Republican state superintendent instructor on a listening tour.
I still think that Pete Buttigieg is going to drop out of the presidential race and then take all that momentum towards the governor's race.
I think that there's a very good chance that he is a senator or governor if he's not elected president.
Possibly vice president.
For sure.
And maybe vice president.
But he
one of those
also,
major statewide offices or federal offices is likely going to be his. I think he's a transcendent candidate.
He's picked up a whole lot more momentum in the presidential race than what I expected.
So he outraised Vice President Biden. He's over $24 million in the last reporting period. And he's polling in the top 5 or 6. And, there's 25 people right now. Folks are just now starting to pay attention. There's another round of debates coming, and that's going to really start to narrow the field. Let me try to find this one here for everybody. The question is, I have thousands of Facebook friends, and I know I saw something, and you have to remember who actually posted the poll results.
Right.
But I believe I'm going to find the information I'm looking for here. I need some waiting music, producer Chris. All right, we got it. So the Biden campaign, YouGov and The Economist had done some polling, and this was released about 3 hours ago. Most recently, Joe Biden at 22%, Elizabeth Warren at 18%, Kamala Harris of California 15%. Bernie Sanders, 12%. Buttigieg, 15%. Tulsi Gabbard starting to come out now at 3%. And Booker and Castro, the former mayor of that Texas town.
Anybody but 2%. Her. Literally.
So we'll see. I think that if you're making that, if you're Buttigieg or higher in that top 5, maybe you'll have a wild card in a Tulsi Gabbard who's actually talking differently than everybody else. I think if you can stay in that top 5 or 6, then you're going to have a chance to get a bump and get some momentum later. But you need to be outside the field at least that much and getting there to have a puncher's chance. But we'll see. But I think if you're in the top 5 or 6 and you've got the kind of money that he does, you're in fine position. Nobody's voted for anything yet.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of candidates coming into the election, Chris Guffey take over for the city of Newcastle.
You're breaking some news. This has not been reported anywhere yet, other than right here.
That is correct. Breaking news for the Newcastle City Council races. Ward 1 is now contested.
There's a Guffey.
There's another one. No relation.
Guffey, if for people that are from outside this community, Guffey is like Smith or Jones.
We are a clan. There's 3 or 4 different clans of us. We all hail from the same part of Kentucky.
You're all from Albany, Kentucky. Every one of you.
Yeah, we're all from that general area, but we are not related.
There's 10,000 of you in a city of 18,000 people.
Mm-hmm. Ain't none of us related.
And none of you have met each other before. You have no idea. You have no relation.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe some way back, but nothing that we can trace. But anyways, Mike Guffey is running as a Republican for City Council Ward 1.
And a newcomer, former city employee Glenn Ryan Jr.
Also, he goes by Butch.
He goes by Butch, but on the ballot, he's Glenn Ryan Jr.
Correct.
I don't know what his yard signs will say.
I don't either.
Because you want what's on the ballot on your sign, but who knows?
Yep.
Vote Butch, Glenn Ryan.
He is running as the Democrat.
Mike.
That chair is currently held by Mary Brewington, who has decided not to run again. So either way, Ward 1 will have a newcomer in the seat come January 1.
So there are 3 contested races now in the city council elections.
Correct. That is Ward 1, 2, and 3.
Wow, wards 1, 2, and 3. So 4 and 5 have no contest.
Yep.
Mayor, no contest. Judge, no contest. Clerk, treasurer, none. And the at-large council races, none.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's none. There's only 2 contestants that are running because nobody can be added to the ballot anymore.
Right. So we're past the deadline.
So we are done,
final.
folks. This is it.
So you've got 3 races.
3 races to
They're
pay
all
attention
in the
to.
wards.
And they're And
so
they
if you live in Ward 1, 2, or 3, you've got a race.
Yep. That's it.
Very interesting. Did you get all that, Dakota?
I got all of it.
Perfect. So
a lot of newcomers.
Yeah, there's a grand total of 4 of us that are running. There's obviously Glenn Ryan Jr. He's a first timer. Mike Guffey. Haven't had a chance to meet him or talk to him or anything like that.
I've heard tale that he may have run previously in the past, many years ago, for an office, but has not yet been elected.
So I think I sent the right one a friend request on Facebook, so I can talk to him and see what's going on over there on that side of the campaign trail.
Very interesting.
Wish him luck.
And you won't be crossing paths with these folks. They're different races.
They are in different races.
Do your signs say Guffey? Did you print 10 million signs that say vote Guffey, and now this guy's just going to ride your coattails?
Nope. What? I said my signs say Chris Guffey. So, but Guffey is the biggest part of it. The sign. So
we'll see if his look exactly identical to yours and have the same color.
Yeah, I am also designing his signs and using yours as a template.
That's weird because you have a non-compete clause.
For-profit Davis over here. I can make a buck. Man.
So,
all right.
Yeah, the local paper did not even know about this.
Man, throwing elbows with the Courier Times.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that you figured
I would look for them to run a story, and hopefully they'll credit the Boss Hog of Liberty reporter Chris Guffey,
yes,
producer reporter, for breaking the story.
Producer/reporter. Yep. All this is public information now.
It's on Indiana Voters.
Yep, it's on Indiana Voters. So if you go
Secretary of State's website.
Yep. If you go to if you're not sure what ward you are in, go to Indiana Voters. And then you will be able to enter your information. It'll tell you
.in.gov.
.in.gov. Yes.
I think IndianaVoters.com also works, but I could be incorrect.
But you can find out who's going to be on your ballot come November 5th.
So I've got something for final thoughts here, and it's a kudos to us. But I'll start with everybody else in the room. Guffey, have you got anything else that we've forgotten that we need to do?
Shout out, yeah, I've got one.
You're starting to plan some walks for your campaign.
I am. So be on the lookout on Facebook for that.
People can reach out to you and start to sign up and get in line to volunteer and to learn about the process with you.
Yep.
The process.
That's how I started. I started out by working on your campaign, walking for you, talking to you, I mean, that's just how it is. Feel free to reach out to me on the Facebook page, obviously.
Dakota has left the studio. Is it raining out there, buddy? He's returned. What's going on?
I forgot a portion of my final thoughts.
Oh
no.
Are they on a billboard out there?
No.
And then, so obviously, be on the lookout for those walking dates. There will be a Facebook event. Just, yeah, that's all I got on that one. Another thing that I will tell people is coming this Saturday, the farmers market, 8 a.m. Like I said, Saturday.
It's moving.
It's got a new home, 1400 Plaza.
It's finally there.
They're gonna have fireworks and a balloon release. So at 8 o'clock in the morning, if you hear boom, boom, boom,
that's not gunshots coming from the meth lab on Thornburg they just busted this week. That is
the 1400 Plaza Farmers,
Plaza,
where you can go and support local businesses like. Not going to say that place because I'm currently banned.
Ooh,
ouch!
You believe that?
It's Ellen K Farms.
You ate some Ellen K watermelon last night at my birthday party. I know it. I saw it.
And I ate some on Friday. What about that, Cade?
Ooh, ouch! Boy, I'm sure he's mad that you're enjoying his family's products.
I hope you're mad. Ooh, but no. So farmers market, 8 a.m. Saturday, 1400 Plaza. Fireworks, balloon release. Oh, something else. Tomorrow, 6:30, I believe it's the start time. Or is it possibly 6?
Stellar meeting?
Yeah, the Stellar meeting is going to be at the Hope Initiative, which is on Broad Street. Look for the mural on the side of the road and come on in. I will be there.
Signing autographs?
Kissing babies, shaking hands. Listen to what you people have to say.
Dakota Davis, final thoughts.
My final thoughts are that there is a Libertarian Party of Henry County meeting this Sunday at 1 p.m. If you are a member of the Libertarian Party or previously have been, please check your email. You have an email from me announcing the meeting. Also, we closed out our convention, so there's no one.
You have no new news to announce.
No news from the Libertarian Party side. The second part is that I followed Darren Jacobs' lead and started growing some peppers this year. I grew some jalapeno peppers, which I've been cooking with them. They're delicious. They're fantastic. And
you make poppers?
I also grew some an extra hot breed of Tabasco pepper.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. And this is my first mature one. They're very tiny.
Uh-oh.
It's a very tiny pepper.
Ooh. Are we sharing this?
We're going to share it.
Okay.
Yep.
So
while you're announcing, I'm going to go cut it up because I know that yours has something to do with hot stuff.
So yeah, there's two items I wanted to cover. The Henry County 4-H Fair is coming up this week. It's actually started already. But this weekend on Sunday is the outdoor cooking contest, the third annual at the Henry County 4-H Fair. You can get more information by calling 765-529-5002 and talking to Sherry Poff, or you can email her, spoff@purdue.edu. It will be at the Henry County Memorial Park Fairgrounds. Check in at 1:30. You start grilling at 2:30. It's adults only, 19 and over, and it is on Sunday. So you have the chance to win a big old trophy. As an
Sunday
in the outdoor cooking. It's counter programming the meeting that Dakota's promoting, but if you can't join us, go do some outdoor cooking, enjoy the county fair. They're trying to create opportunities for adults to participate. Also, Tuesday night of next week is the Henry County 4-H Junior Leader Pie Auction. So I'm one of the club leaders for the junior leaders, and they make pies. The proceeds of those pies, I think they'll sell at 6:30 or 7 o'clock. Maybe 6 o'clock. Check local listings. Tuesday night, between the hours of 6 and 7 o'clock, the cherry pie, it used to be the cherry pie auction, now it's just any pie. Any sort of a fruit pie, non-refrigerated, will be sold, and it goes to scholarships for those kids.
No sugar cream?
Possibly, but it's
said
not
fruit
advised.
pie.
We're asking this year because of the changes that are happening out there where we don't have the refrigeration space we typically do.
Okay.
They're asking for non-refrigerated pies this year from the kids.
Gotcha.
But there's normally 15 to 20 to 30 pies out there, and they'll sell anywhere from $30 a piece up to $1,000.
My wife used to make pies for that.
Monica used to make her pies. Let's be honest.
No, Audrey makes great pies. You've had her pies.
I know she did. I know. The PV girls made incredible pies. They should probably outsource their services to some of the other kids. So come out Tuesday night for that thing. All right. So I have to say that I was watching on July 9th, my birthday, yesterday, the Bob and Tom show was promoting Joey Chestnut had come through town, the hot dog eater guy,
yes,
the competitive eater.
Yeah.
He is. Sorry, I don't want to steal your thunder.
So he was in honor of him. They in the event that they have just a week earlier this week, St. Elmo's, the world famous steakhouse, has their shrimp cocktails, and they eat the shrimp cocktail. Josh Arnold and the other guy on the Bob and Tom show ate 10 shrimp cocktails.
Ace Crosby.
Ace Crosby. I watched the entire thing. I love Chris Spangle. I know he works there. He's a big part of our family, and he's a big part of the Bob and Tom family. Our Ghost Pepper episode, for entertainment value, killed theirs. Killed it. It was mostly based upon Dakota not being able to talk. So now that you've brought in your homegrown pepper,
Tabasco pepper,
this is another Spiceland Township pepper. Mm-hmm. The last time Spiceland Township peppers were on the show,
grown out of the soil from the banks of Beezer Creek.
There's no E. coli in this, is there?
I don't think so.
All right.
I've not eaten one yet, so I can't say. This is, like I said, this is the very first mature one.
This is you've not had anything. So this is
there's a bunch of really smaller ones.
You don't have a chaser. We don't have any milk. We got nothing.
This smells good though,
and I don't know how hot they are.
Guffey, this is going to be a visual thing, so I need you to swing around the corner and get close to me as you eat this.
Okay, I feel like you guys should know that I'm kind of a hot connoisseur, so this probably won't faze me.
After the ghost peppers, I don't think anything's going to hurt me. But here we go. 3, 2. If we can't talk anymore, we love you and we'll see you next week. 1.
Huh. Packing more of a punch than I thought.
It's hot instantly.
Yeah. It's not.
It is hot. Oh, I'm going to hiccup. I can feel it. I will definitely have hiccups.
That's good.
Dakota's going to shut up on me.
It's
that is good. Like
it's way different than other peppers.
There's the hiccup.
It instantly hits your tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not used to that kind of like direct heat. I'm used to that one where it goes like, and then you're like, oh, that was nothing, and then now it's like,
and then it comes later. That's not the case with the Tabasco pepper.
That is not. My tongue is tingly.
It happened very quick.
It is not terrible. Yeah, it's pretty good, man.
Come in a little more.
Do. Am I not in the picture?
So I did this in hopes that I can kind of make a hybrid of Tabasco sauce and sriracha sauce. So like how sriracha's got the garlic taste.
Yes.
Where Tabasco is just the vinegar. I want to fuse those together.
It's hot, but it is subsiding a little bit.
It's good.
Just thinking that I only ate a third of that, and then this is how hot it is, makes me wonder like how many of those peppers can I put in that sauce?
Yeah, I'd limit it.
You have to be careful.
Yeah. I could really make a deadly sauce.
You did good.
Whew.
You grow a mean pepper.
Thank you. It's the Beezer Creek.
With that, I think we'll see you all next week.
That's right.
Thank you for listening to the Boss Hog of Liberty, which is part of the We Are Libertarians Network. I am Chris Spangle, and I am the founder of this network, and I invite you to listen to all of our shows, which you can find at wearelibertarians.com or by searching for these in your podcatcher. The flagship show is the We Are Libertarians podcast, where we apply libertarian principles to current events. The Brian Nichols Show is a conversation amongst Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, Independents, as they talk about what is happening in the news. And we have many other podcasts like The Chris Spangle Show, Upward, The Cost, Raw Audio Politics, Miranda's World, and Tad Talk, which is quite a ride. So check all of these out. Go to wearelibertarians.com and you can check out all of our great podcasts. Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Get our other shows at wearelibertarians.com.